and I am the Center of Excellence lead for entrepreneurship. I guess I still am a teacher, and I taught for 15 years in St. John at St. Malachy's High School. And now I work for the Department of Education, and my job is to promote entrepreneurship and financial literacy to students and teachers, to make everyone more comfortable with those topics, because we want students to stay in New Brunswick and to work here and to thrive. So that's kind of my job. And again, I work closely with different partners in our community. Lisa Legier from FCNB is one of them, and she's going to deliver an amazing presentation to you today that we can all benefit from, because we are all targets of scams and frauds, whether you're in elementary school or whether you're a senior citizen, right? Even our grandparents can fall prey to this. So I'm going to hand things over to Lisa, and we'll get started.
That's wonderful. Thanks so much, Jill. And thanks for having me. Welcome to everybody on this beautiful sunny day. All where you are, I don't know what the weather's doing, but Fredericton, we're going to hit 34. So I think it's going to be a hot one here today. And I want to talk about staying out of fraud's reach. So that's kind of the topic at hand. As Jill said, my name's Lisa, and I'm the education coordinator with FCNB. And that's the Financial and Consumer Services Commission of New Brunswick. And I am sure you've all heard of a fraud or scam before, and some of you may have already been a victim of one, sadly, in the past. And even if you haven't, you might think that it could never happen to you, because lots of people think it could never happen to them. But today, I'm going to talk about some specific types of frauds and scams that often target young people. And I'm going to try to share with you some tips and tricks that can help keep you safe from those fraudsters. So the next thing I want to cover is kind of, before we get started too far into it, I want to share a little bit about who FCNB is and what we do. So we're New Brunswick's Financial and Consumer Services regulator. And our main job is to make sure that people working in the many different industries that we regulate have the proper education, registrations, or licenses to offer the products and services they provide to New Brunswickers. And some of the industries we regulate include collection agencies, door-to-door sellers, real estate agents, insurance companies, financial planners or investment advisors, payday lenders, and credit unions. So that's just a few of them, but there's many more. And when you have an account, say at a credit union, or you buy insurance for your car, or you work with a financial planner or advisor, you're a consumer of financial services in New Brunswick. So that puts you in that category. So some of the things that we do include responding to inquiries from New Brunswickers and any complaints they have about industries that we regulate or that we're responsible for. We conduct what's called compliance reviews. So we go in and make sure that those industries that we regulate are following all the New Brunswick consumer protection laws. And if there are problems, we investigate those violations and sometimes collaborate with police and other law enforcement agencies to kind of find solutions or find out where the problems lie. And then we also, which is part of what I do, educate consumers and businesses about their rights and responsibilities and about different financial literacy topics. So on that last note, one way we want to help protect consumers is to educate them on the warning signs of fraud. So that's kind of what we're going to talk about today. And here's a stat that some of you might find pretty interesting. So the Canadian Anti-Fraud Centre estimates that only 5% of frauds and scams are ever reported. And that's really kind of telling. And some people say, well, why? Why is that? And it's because, or oftentimes, people are embarrassed because they were tricked out of their money and they don't want to talk about it. So hopefully today, following some of these tips and tricks that we're going to talk about, learning those warning signs will help you prevent being a victim and also encourage you that if something happens that you report it to someone so that we can share it with others and also help people not be victims of fraud. So the first one that I want to kind of talk about is how frauds come in many forms and they can be very difficult to detect. So fraudsters could ask you to invest money in a company or a product that doesn't even exist. They can use your personal and financial information to steal from you. They can tell you that you've won a prize, but you have to claim it, and then they might ask you for information in order to claim it. They might pretend to be a friend or family member who's in trouble or who needs cash right away. A lot of the times they might express really strong feelings for you, and it happens very soon, and when they start talking to you, they're trying to gain your trust. Or they could ask for money for a personal or a medical emergency. They might want you to pay bills for them or travel expenses for them to come visit you. So those are some of the things you really want to watch out for. Scam artists, they're very creative, and they're constantly coming up with new ways to separate you from your money. And once you've been the target of a scam, sadly, you can often be targeted again. So I want to take the next several minutes and take a closer look at each of these examples that we've listed here. So video game scams, phishing scams, crypto scams, shopping scams, particularly online and doing e-transfers, and something called fraud among friends. So we're going to start off with the video game scams first. So because lots of online games have the ability to purchase items with in-game and real currency or real money, there's a real risk that fraudsters will try to steal from you within the game, just like in the real world. So scammers can target you by offering in-game currency, like rare items or cheat codes. So they may ask you for personal information, login credentials, or payment in exchange for these virtual rewards. So here are some things to consider to keep you safe while gaming online. So number one, only use official websites for any purchases related to the game. And that one's a really important one. So you don't want to click on links that redirect you to a third-party website. And that may be what they call duping. And duping is when scammers create fake versions of in-game items to sell. So if you're asked to give out a credit card information, always go through the official website, channel, or store for that game. And if you buy digital property from a shady place, it can be deleted by the actual game maker at any time if they find it. So the second one is don't respond to emails or direct message requests asking for your banking, financial, or personal information. Even if it appears to be from the gaming platform, legitimate companies don't ask for details via messaging. So if you get a message or an email like that, that's also a warning sign. Number three is don't share personal information, identifying data or account information online. So you never want to share your login credentials with your friends either. Number four is use a strong password for the game login. So a strong password is one that's difficult to guess, and you should include a combination of uppercase and lowercase letters, plus some numbers and symbols. Avoid using the same password for multiple accounts. Number five is using what we call two-factor authentication. So this means that you and anyone else trying to access your account will need two pieces of identification to log in. Usually your password and oftentimes your phone number. Typically, you enter your password to log on to your account, and your account then sends a code to your smartphone, email, or an authenticator app. And you must enter that code as part of the login process before you get into your account. So this extra step makes it harder to hack into your accounts. And six, never click on links asking you to reconfirm your password. Instead, you should delete any email that asks you to update your login information. And again, log in directly to your account through a browser or your console to update your password. And lastly, use gift cards if you can. By keeping your debit or credit card number out of your online accounts or console, you'll keep it safer.
Okay,
Sorry, did we have a question?
just a minute. Je pense que c'est juste a besoin d'être.
Oh, maybe not.
No, we're good? Okay.
I think we're good.
So number seven is use gift cards if you can, like I said. so if like I was saying, if you keep your debit and credit card out of the equation, it'll definitely be a way to keep it safer. So if you buy gift cards for the game or the console, it'd be better to use those instead. So my next topic is phishing scams. So we can't forget to talk about these. And I want to share an example of a hoax or a scam that was a post a few years back. And this was probably 5 years ago, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, warning the public to avoid swimming in New Brunswick's Belle Isle Bay. And the post had a sighting of a 12-foot bull shark. Okay, and it was being shared across all these news feeds. So it was showing this picture of the shark and saying, don't swim there. And it was a hoax, and yet friends were sharing it with their friends and so on, and it really built momentum. So even though it looks real, you have to really think about what's the target of this. So we're always warned not to open any suspicious files and internet hoaxes, but it's easy to fall prey because they look so real or we're interested in them. Fast-paced social media makes us want to share posts quickly before they disappear from our changing news feeds. So a lot of times we share it without questioning if it's true or not. So the shark hoax may have been harmless, but falling for online scams can have serious consequences. And scammers can gather personal information and steal your identity this way. Also, I want to have you be aware of posts or questionnaires. So they're asking things like, what's the name of your furry friend? Or what's your favorite movie of all time? So these questions or surveys, they might seem harmless, but just imagine you're a scam artist trying to access a stranger's bank account online and all you have is their name. So no problem. You look through their social media accounts, and often people share their email names of pets, they share relatives, they share schools they attended, event dates for birthdays, etc. So you may have used this information for security questions. And the more that we share online, we always have to remember that it's open to everyone, so scam artists can see it as well. So those let's get to know each other surveys have a ton of information that can be potentially used by a scam artist in a fraudulent way. We also talked to a constable at the Kennebecasis Regional Police Force. And a few years ago, he did an experiment to see how fast social media messaging can travel. So he posted a picture of himself on his Facebook page and asked people to share the picture. In less than 24 hours, over 6,400 people shared his picture, and over 200,000 people saw it on Facebook. And a year later, it got over 10,500 shares and over 350,000 people saw it. And that was just one person sharing things. So it definitely can go, something can go viral very quickly. So next is crypto scams. And they're one of the fastest growing scams in New Brunswick and really in Canada. But before we get into crypto scams, first, I want to talk about what crypto is. So there's lots of different types of crypto assets, but two that you've probably heard of a lot lately are cryptocurrency and NTFs. So cryptocurrencies were created as an alternative to regular money, and their value depends on how many people want them in the market. So you've probably heard of big ones like Bitcoin or Ethereum. Then there are digital tokens. So these are crypto assets that can be traded and tracked on what we call a digital ledger. They come in different flavors like utility tokens, governance tokens, security tokens, and non-fungible tokens, which are NFTs. So NFTs are unique digital assets that represent ownership of something special, like a piece of art or a collectible. And just like other cryptocurrencies, you can buy and sell them. In Canada, though, crypto is regulated by the provincial securities regulators, like us here in New Brunswick. And crypto trading platforms, also known as crypto exchanges, need to be registered to operate in Canada. And this helps protect investors because registered firms and individuals have to meet certain requirements, like managing risks, being transparent, and treating their clients fairly. As far as cryptocurrency goes, there are some added risks, like volatility, So prices of crypto assets are often driven by media or social media hype, so they can rise and fall pretty dramatically and pretty quickly, almost like how a fad operates. Then we're looking at liquidity. So that's when trading on a crypto asset trading platform, the crypto trading platform may not have enough crypto assets to cover your order. So there also is no guarantees that the demand for any crypto asset will continue. And they may limit or suspend trading, or there may be limitations or suspensions imposed on funding and withdrawing from your accounts if there's not enough assets in there. There's also an online risk. So crypto asset service providers may exist anywhere in the world, and it can be difficult or even impossible to identify or locate the service provider and take any action if you have a problem. And there's technical and cybersecurity. So technology and the platforms used for crypto trading are susceptible to security threats and hacking, putting your funds and your crypto assets at risk. And something else that you might not know is that you have to be the age of majority, or that's 19 years old in New Brunswick, before you can open an account on a crypto trading platform. So if you're told you're old enough to buy crypto on your own, it's likely a scam. And crypto-related scams often make big promises of high returns with little or no risk. They try to create that fear of missing out or FOMO on a great opportunity that others are profiting from. And these scams are usually promoted online through social media, chat apps, and fake websites that look like legitimate trading platforms or investment firms. And scammers may even claim that they don't have to follow financial regulations in your province or country. They might withhold funds and trick you into paying fake taxes or fees or other charges. And these scammers don't target just a certain type of person. Like, it's not just seniors or people who are bad at computers. They're targeting anyone and everyone. And while it's not necessarily a scam, something else to watch for are people giving financial or crypto recommendations or advice online. So it's something called FinTalk, and it's growing. And the advice you can find there from what we call a finfluencer is not necessarily accurate or even right for you. So when we look at a finfluencer, that's someone who uses their popularity and reach on social media platforms to persuade or, let's say, influence their followers to make financial decisions based on what they recommend. And we want people to be wary of anyone giving financial advice or promoting an investment product who might not necessarily have all the knowledge and expertise to be advising people on financial decisions. You always want to ask yourself, what are they getting out of me telling this? And what's in it for them? And the bottom line is you never want to put money in that you aren't prepared to lose. And always be on the lookout for signs that the investment is a scam. So our next topic, kind of flowing into that, is online scams in general. And you want to be really careful when you're online. So ads for a free trial or a free gift after completing a survey may seem like a really good idea at the time, but you may be signing up for something and not even know it. And this can lead to an unexpected bill in the mail. If you have to provide financial information to pay for the free trial or the shipping and handling fees, be very careful. You want to be reading the fine print before signing up for a free sample or subscription. And you know that box online that often says terms and conditions? So how many times have you scrolled past that to the end and clicked the I agree box without reading it? And we've all been there and we've all done it. But that's where the hidden fees and future charges can hide. And once you've agreed to it, you're on the hook, and it can be hard to get out of having to pay the bill. Scammers may post fake online classified ads or impersonate a real online store. They might sell you knockoffs or ask you to send money somewhere to pay for an item. You always want to follow the guidelines and safety tips on the classified site when buying or selling online. And if you're buying on sites like Facebook Marketplace or Kijiji, for example, it's a good idea not to prepay for large items, since if it is a scam, it may be hard to get back any transfer. It's also a good idea to never go alone when picking up an online purchase. Let someone know the address that you're going to and when you expect to be back as well. And scammers also like to play on our emotions and exploit charities or good causes. So sites like GoFundMe can also be taken advantage of by scam artists. Make sure you know the cause and you've verified it's legitimate before handing over any payments. You may also want to research companies like PayPal when making online purchases. These companies have added security measures in place, and they may also have additional insurance on your purchase as well. So the next topic I want to cover is fraud among friends. And the famous quote for this is, everyone else is doing it, right? So scam artists might use your friends or your family against you. And this is actually called affinity fraud. Or like I said, we like to call it fraud among friends. And this relies on the trust that you place in your friends and the fear of not keeping up with them, or FOMO, like I mentioned earlier, fear of missing out. Scam artists will target your social clubs, your online networks, or close-knit groups by working their way into the organization and gaining the trust of the members in order to rip them off. So social media sites are the newest way scam artists are targeting potential victims. And the scam artist plays on our instinct to trust those who are just like us. So a scam artist might say something like, you can trust me, or I'm just like you, and we like the same things. They may convince some of your friends in the group to get in on a great deal, and then your friends try to convince you. So always ask questions before investing in anything, and get all the information in writing and ask your family about it. And when you're ready to start investing and you're old enough, you can also talk to a registered financial advisor. And always you can check with FCNB to see if the financial advisor you want to work with is registered to do business in New Brunswick. So you just have to contact us. Online relationships or romance scams can be vulnerable to scammers as well. And people can be vulnerable to this because the scammers pretend to be interested in a romantic relationship. And they may gain your trust and try to manipulate you into sending money or sharing personal information. It's essential to be cautious and skeptical when developing relationships online, especially with individuals you've never met in person. So remember, if someone you barely know or have just recently met suddenly wants to be your best friend, be cautious, especially if this new friend starts asking for or telling you that they need money. Fraudsters will use this tactic to get you to trust them, because after all, we don't normally expect our friends to steal from us. And the last thing I want to cover is watching out for job and employment scams as well. And these scams, they look like job opportunities that promise you easy money or require you to pay upfront fees. And scammers can pose as employers and ask for personal information, bank account details, and even request payment for training materials or equipment. Remember that a legitimate employer would never ask for money from potential employees. So I want to just cover some of the red flags again. And even though fraud comes in many forms, there's usually a few things in common. And the first one is secrecy. So if you're asked to keep an amazing deal or this great investment opportunity a secret, or you're told that you have access to secret inside information, it's likely because the scam artist doesn't want you to verify their story before you hand over your money. The fraudsters might say things like, just keep it a secret or keep it between you and I. The scammer doesn't want you to tell anyone because the person you might warn, the person you tell, might warn you that it's obviously a scam. And if you're told to keep it a secret, stop. Don't give them any money and definitely report the fraud. They also might ask you to pay with unusual methods, like paying with a gift card or a wire transfer or cryptocurrency. If you're being asked to invest or pay for something using a currency other than regular money, be careful. This also could be a warning sign that a fraudster is trying to scam you. So the next one is emotions. So the scammers love to push our emotional hot buttons. They want us to react on impulse without really thinking about our decision. And they often will use scare tactics, suggesting that by not buying their products or services, you'd be putting your family's health or safety at risk. And a successful fraud often looks just good enough to be true. It's always best to do your own research before buying or investing in anything. And this includes reading online reviews, understanding the warranties and return policies, and checking with places like the Better Business Bureau to make sure the business is real. And FCNB, if it's a product or service from an industry that we regulate. So you can always check with us on those industries as well. And next, the fraudster tries to befriend you. So remember when I said everyone else is doing it and we talked about fraud among friends? Scam artists are relying on that idea that if you feel like you're already friends, then you won't believe they're trying to scam you. They may also try and reach out at odd hours of the day or night to try to catch you off guard. Like when you're going to bed or first thing in the morning. That's a common time. They're hoping you might be distracted and give them information that they're looking for. And finally, they usually all sound too good to be true. We've all heard the saying, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. So I always say, trust your gut or trust your instinct and walk away from any deal that sounds too good to be true. So some things the fraudsters might say would be like, there's no risk, or you can double your money fast, or you can make lots of money from working at home, and this is guaranteed. So these are all warning signs. If you're offered a get-rich-quick pitch, definitely walk away. And that pressure to act now. So scammers use this tactic to get you to make a quick decision without giving you time to think or ask questions or get a third opinion. They may use promises of quick tips or other secret information that the general public doesn't have, or they'll stress things like their great deal won't last long. The fraudsters might say things like, don't be left behind, or we all missing out on a great deal. So scam artists take advantage of that fear by pressuring you to act fast and not really think it through. So the bottom line in all of this is no matter how they reach you, scammers can be very convincing. So you want to be prepared for their persuasive tactics. And the best defense against fraud is what I call a good offense, and being educated about what to watch out for so you can know how you can protect yourself. And that's what we're trying to do with these presentations, is give everyone the chance to learn what to watch for so that they can protect themselves against fraud. So I always want to bring up at the end our contact information. And I hope that this presentation got you thinking a bit more about the things to watch out for when it comes to frauds and scams. Education is power. And the more you know about how to protect yourself, the more likely you'll be able to recognize a fraud or scam and help prevent yourself and others from being a victim. We really want to focus on that prevention. You can check us out online for lots more information about frauds and scams. We're definitely an unbiased resource. We're here to protect consumers. So the information you're going to see on our website is going to be valid for New Brunswickers, and it's going to be up to date. And it's a great resource that can help you become informed financial consumers. So I'm going to pass it over to Jill now. I want to thank everybody for having me. And if we have some time for some questions, I'm going to definitely try to answer them.
Okay, thank you so much, Lisa. I always learn so many things from your presentations myself.
That's
I
wonderful.
didn't realize that early morning and before bed was a tactic. Like, it's just so interesting
Yes.
how manipulative scammers can be. So I want to thank our teachers and classes for joining. I'm going to open the floor up to any questions, or maybe if one of your students has had an experience, or their parents have, or their grandparents have, that they might want to share with us today, because knowledge is power. So any comments, any feedback, any questions? Students can come right up to the camera if they'd like to.
Absolutely.
Anything at all. And again, it's okay if not, but we'll open the floor up now. Okay, well, that's completely fine. I'm going to, again, I took note of your information and you'll be getting a thank you message. And please keep Lisa and FCNB in mind. And again, if a teacher wasn't able to show this to their class, it is going to be recorded and on my website. So please share. There is another session at 11 today. If you know of a teacher or if you have a different class that you'd like to join in. And I just want to thank Lisa Ligier so much for just being such a champion and my partner in educating students on these really important concepts and things that we have to watch out for. So thanks so much.
Oh, as always, I'm happy to do it. Like we said, the more we talk about these things, the more we can prevent it from happening, and that's the ultimate goal.
Absolutely. I agree. So I will stop our recording. Here we